Welcome to the podcast from the Swamp
at Baseball Park, Weiersburg, Germany.
Brought to you by the Solingen Alligators Baseball Club,
Smashing runs since 1991. Dive into Alligators Alley with your hosts Max Michalk and Bruno Römer
as we bring you face to face with the legends of the game.
Former MLB players, active coaches, and many more to come.
It's all right here, folks.
Let's play ball.
So we start off by saying hello, Ryan. Thank you for being a part of the 6th episode of The Swamp from the Baseball Park Weiersburg of the Solingen Alligators. Great to have you.
Great to be here. Happy to.
So starting off with question number one, what made you interested in working as a catcher and also then working with catchers?
Ooh, wow, that's a deep one. As a young kid, it was an exciting position. Played like most kids, like shortstop, center field, moved around. I found that being a catcher was a little bit more exciting because you were a part of the action. And I was a bigger, stronger kid when I was younger, and that kind of just stuck. And I lost interest in some of the other positions rather quickly, as most do, and just kind of stuck with the catching all the way through, and through high school, through college, into pro ball. And as an instructor, I thought we weren't getting the same kind of instruction that other positions were. And having kind of worked in baseball my whole life, that was a place where I thought that we could make a good impact.
Great. So could you maybe tell us a little bit about your career playing-wise, and when was the moment you thought that I'm good at coaching kids and coaching professionals?
I think it was after I decided I was not going to be any good as a player anymore. I decided to be a coach. I played at the University of Iowa. I grew up outside of Chicago. Went to the University of Iowa. Played 8 years professionally with the Rangers, White Sox, and in independent ball. And as I got out of it, I had moved to San Diego, California, and got hooked up with a guy named Tom House, pitching guy. And I was catching bullpens for Tommy just in the off season to get ready to go play. And that's about the time where my career was starting to come to an end. And as soon as I got done playing and decided I didn't want to play anymore, I called Tom and said, "Hey, do you have a job?" And basically, I started as just learning from Tom on the pitching side and the biomechanics of things. And that was when we started the National Pitching Association, or he started National Pitching Association. And there was only a few of us in the office. And for the next, I don't even know, 6 years, something like that, 7 years, I traveled around the country, around the world, really, with Tommy, doing pitching camps. When he decided that he was going to go to USC to be the pitching coach, that was about the same time I was developing a catching program, kind of based off the same principles of how the body worked and the mechanics of things. And we thought it was a good little marriage at that point to start something. And he decided that he was going to go to USC. And then I just decided, hey, I'm going to make this leap too. So I quit and started my own catching company, Catch and Throw. Back when there really wasn't any, there was only a couple of us in the nation. You couldn't find any catching instruction like structured catching instruction, and that's kind of how I got started. And then it just has kind of progressed into I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years with the Dodgers, and now going into my 4th year with the Tigers.
Great. You mentioned Tom House already. We're coming back to that later on. And you already mentioned your construction program, Catch and Throw. That's pretty interesting from our side. As you mentioned, it's not that popular to get a catching instruction. So what is your program mainly about? What are you focusing on in that program?
Not only is it the skill side of it, it's the health and the safety of the player. That was what the premise of this whole thing, as I started, was about, was making sure that not only could you help players become better baseball players or catchers on that side, on the defensive side, but then it was also with the health and safety in mind. So having functional fitness, making sure that they could endure the stresses and the rigors of the position, but then being able to do it successfully. And I found rather quickly that there just wasn't a lot of instruction out there. To me, the catching side isn't that hard, simply because if you put some effort into it and you get some solid information, you're able to do a lot of things. And that's kind of how this whole thing has progressed, to be honest, is it started off as having a really good functional warm-up, a good routine that all good players have, something to get you ready to play rather than work your way into a game. And that was kind of how I started everything. And then I just trial and error learned and took all my experiences and things I've learned from all the incredible mentors I've had in my past, and was able to actually put a really good program together. And as I got into professional baseball, that is very rapidly taken a decline, doing a lot of camps and stuff just because I don't have the available time. But for the longest time, that's how I made a living, and would work on it every single day, taking notes and filling up journals to find different ways that different people have done things. And I think that anybody that's been around me in the past and will say that there's not like a absolutes. I don't deal with absolutes. I don't think there are absolutes. So I think we just figure out what's going to work for each individual, and then we just try to maximize it. And I think in my coaching career, I've had a lot of success with that. And it's kind of cool to see, like, I've had guys that have coached in high school that are in the major leagues. I've had, obviously a lot of guys in the professional ranks that have gone and had really nice, successful careers, and now getting to sit in a major league dugout and see those guys play, knowing where they started and how they've progressed is pretty neat. It's pretty neat as a coach, because you get the satisfaction once you decide to be a coach, or you should get the satisfaction that you're helping these players fulfill the dreams that you couldn't, and that's totally fine. I think it's great.
That was awesome. Also, talking about not teaching those absolutes, like you said, and focusing on every player individually is just something that I think most coaches don't understand, because they're just seeing like, hey, I have my way of doing stuff and not focusing on the individual player. It's a great quote from you.
Honestly, as when you're dealing with adults, like I deal with professional major league players now, and I have my son's team who's 14, and I was just at a hitting lesson for him, because I'm not the expert on hitting by any means, with Craig Wallenbrock yesterday with my son, and I'm watching a catching camp of little peewees, and it's like I would probably do it a little differently, because they were telling them what to do rather than like learning what the kids. But as you deal with older players, and especially now in the big leagues, like the players can just tell you to buzz off. Like you have to relate to what they can do. I can ask them questions and I can ask them to try things, but I'm certainly never going to say you need to do this, because they need to embrace what they're working on and what they are trying to accomplish. And if they're not all in, then you're not going to get a good product. And what we're trying to do is create the absolute best of the best, and not create, but help them achieve being the best of the best. And you're only going to do that if you maximize what they can do, not what I want them to do. Like I can disagree with them all day, and if it's working, I should be happy rather than fighting them.
Like you said, you had some great catchers running, or that you've coached and that you helped improve. Could you maybe tell us some names? Because that's always a good thing. If we know, hey, that guy. If I watch MLB this year and I see, hey, that guy worked with Ryan, that would be funny.
I don't like to do that because it's their careers, not mine. But if you go through certain organizations, and there are players I've worked with for a long time. And actually, there's quite a few major leaguers that I've worked with in the past that, I don't like taking any credit and don't want to throw that, but,
So looking after your career, it's like the time you've been where the Will Smith of the world, we can figure out who that would be, maybe. If that's the one guy that you were coaching.
Will's a great athlete. World champion. Two times.
Yeah, twice, yeah. Talking about, Bruno's up, sorry.
Yep. I've one question concerning to that. Would you suggest anything to a young catcher to do something to save his knees? We have the problem in Germany that the most catchers are doing a really, really great job. They put a lot of effort into their work and their practice, and they are really, really good. But at the point, like with 16, 17 years old, the knees are going down. They are saying, no, I'm not catching anymore. It's painful. I'm quitting with catching. Something for our very younger guys to help them to develop over 17, 18 years old.
So I think endurance is a major factor in that. Like, you have to be able to go up and down as many times as needed, especially if you're playing tournaments, right? Tournaments are where we see the breakdown, and there's probably a bit more injury because of overuse. You can go on YouTube and find 1,000 different things to do. It's more about action and actually doing stuff than it is about a specific program. I don't think that there's any like magic pill to take and say, if you do this, you won't get hurt, or if you do this, you won't get tired. Our manager, AJ Hinch, says this all the time when balls are getting whacked off the catcher and they're getting beat up, and he'll just look at somebody and go, it's not for everybody. And I think that's the right way to put it, is this is not for everybody. And it does take a different dude or girl to figure out, okay, I want to be a part of this. And I know this isn't always going to be, rainbows and unicorns. This is going to hurt sometimes, but that's the price you pay to be able to be in every pitch. And, you could just say it's the cost of business. But it's also like, if you want to do this, it takes a certain amount of not only strength and endurance, but there's a lot of mental strain that no other position, and this is why we treat the catchers very differently. There is not only the physical taxing and toll that it takes, but then there's the mental side that really can wear people down. And I think it's a combination. It's like, if you talk to or you watch things about the United States Navy SEALs, they'll say we started this class with 150 guys and 20 just didn't quit. And it's more about the treachery of just hanging in there, doing the work. By doing the work, you're creating strength and creating endurance, and you just have to keep pushing through. And I think a lot of times people just quit, and that's okay. It's just, like I said, it's not for everybody. There's no magic way to make yourself get through this. But with the way that the game has gone and the pitch in professional baseball, the pitch clock has helped a lot because you're off your feet a little quicker. But then also with the stances, with the one knee stances, there hasn't been one player that I've been around that has said, I feel more tired now than I used to. That just doesn't happen anymore because the guys are saying I'm off my feet more. I feel better. And if we can get them to feel that way, it allows them to have more physical and mental strength to go hit and perform and help the team,
Yeah. So one little thing, maybe we can do a reel, an Instagram reel out of that. Do you prefer knee savers?
I haven't seen a player use knee savers for a long time. So I think the knee down stances has pretty much eliminated that, but I just haven't seen a player. It's been a long time since I've seen it. They're also really bulky to put in your bag. I felt that's probably why some people just got rid of them. You couldn't fit all your stuff in your bag.
Yeah. All right. So we're coming to the next question. You've been a long time with the LA Dodgers, and you already achieved a World Series win there. That's great. What was, besides of the World Series win, obviously, what was your highlight during that time?
I think it was just the learning experience, learning how to deal with players. I mean, it takes time to be a real coach. You've got to learn how to communicate, and you've got to learn how to form relationships, and pick and choose your battles, not only with the timing of what you're doing, but also understanding that these players are going through a lot of success, a lot of failure, a lot of, in the case of a foreign player, being away from home. You've got to learn the player before you coach the player, like learn the person before you coach the player. I think that's really important. And I think out of my time in LA, that's probably one of the best things that I picked up was just an understanding of this is about way more about creating a relationship and communication than it is fixing an elbow or catching a ball. Like, that's how you can get to a player, is by creating a relationship and gaining the trust from that player. So when things are in a little bit of a weird spot, they're willing to listen to what you have to say. It doesn't matter. This, like I said, this is none of our careers. This is our coaching career. But, and I say this with 100% certainty, there's no such thing as a coach without players. So you need the players. So this is where fighting the players or hammering down and saying it's my way or the highway, like it is not, because the players are the only reason that coaches exist, and we must take care of the players.
Again, awesome quote there. So in your coaching career, who would you say is your biggest mentor, or who helped you the most in becoming the coach you are today?
It'd be really hard to say one person. I would say Tom House is as close to the best mentor that I've ever had. Love him or hate him, what he taught me about baseball and what he taught me about coaching and what he taught me about how the body moves and how the body works and why we want to stay healthy. All of those things are massive. You could go to, I could say 100 people. Matt Noakes really helped me out a lot as a catching instructor, because he taught me a lot of things that then I was able to push forward. I could go on and on. I would say every year I'm finding a new mentor. And quite honestly, like, as this catching community has grown, I've learned as much or more from all of the guys that like listened to me and Jerry Weinstein talk early on. I've learned as much from them as they've probably, gotten some information from me. And most of all, the mentors I've had have been the players, to be honest with you. Like, I was just working with a player a couple of weeks ago who's played in the major leagues for close to 15 years, and he's still pushing on. And the professional development that I got out of that was much more important than anything I could have told him. We talked about things and we tried new things that he hasn't done in the past, but all of the little nuggets that he's giving me, he's going to help 10 other players. And so I look at it that way. I don't look at it as like there's like somebody that showed me the playbook, because I think all coaches can tell you or can help you in one way or another. Or, I can say this about coaches I've had in the past too, that I've learned what I don't want to do. And that's okay. Like, it's all a learning experience for all of us.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, go on, Max.
My next question would be, who would you say is the best fundamentally sound catcher in today's game? I personally have a name on my on my head that I know with who I like as a catcher, but I want to have your view on that.
I think you could you have to break down all the skills, right? And that question gets asked to me quite a bit, and I don't have an answer because I think they're all great. Like, I love watching Cal Raleigh go out there and catch 140 games. I like watching Jake Rogers do his thing. I like watching Will or Austin do their thing in LA. Like, you could just go on and on. I think, you watch Kristen Bethencourt throw a baseball, like, you wish everybody could do that. You watch a guy control a block, you're like, man, I wish we could do that too. There's so many ways that we can break down a player right now. Like, I could probably say there's 25 guys because there's all these little skills. I would love to have somebody be able to get the high pitch like so-and-so, and somebody on their arm side get it like somebody else. And I just don't really have a favorite because I think, again, you could learn from all players, and we should learn from all players. Who is your favorite?
I have to say it's Austin Hedges. I just like seeing him catch, and it looks so smooth, and everything he does defensively, offensively, he can maybe get a little bit better somehow. But
he bunted it with the bases loaded against us and scored a run. Like, I can't be mad at him for that.
Yeah, true. But like you said, like Bethencourt, the way he throws the ball, it just seems unfair a little bit. He's got a cannon.
He does.
So the next
Ryan, one question from my side. To get the background of you, when was your first time getting in touch with baseball? Like, was it your father? Was it your grandfather? How did you get in touch with baseball?
It was my dad. Yeah, my grandfather died before I was 1 year old, so he had the bug from him, and he played into college at the University of Chicago, and he played on these amateur teams that they won like back-to-back national championships. So he was pretty a good player, and in like 1968, 67, 68, somewhere in there. So he instilled it, and watching sports with him all the time, and he was always available and was always present for any work that I wanted to do. I was pretty self-motivated when it came to that. And I find this with my own son that there's times where there's things that matter to me that don't matter to him, or I obsess over things that don't matter to him, and that's a struggle. But I was pretty fortunate that my dad probably shared some of the same kind of values that I did with it, and caring about the details, and caring about the teammate, and caring about the hustle. That was probably deeply ingrained by him. And I'm certainly thankful for it, because it as bad of a player as I was, I feel like I maximized a lot of things because I did have those kind of attributes. But I started playing when I was 4 or something like that.
Okay. And just baseball, or was there another sport you were good in?
No, I would not say I was good in other sports. I played all the other sports. I mean, I could play basketball. I played football for a while. Liked tennis. Like, I played a lot of sports as a kid. I also had there was a church that had a school right next to my house, and it had this big, like 40-foot brick wall, and a parking lot. And that was my playground. And, by myself or with a friend, I was playing tennis on that wall. I was throwing a baseball on that wall. I was imagining I'm doing something against that wall in that parking lot. And, it's probably what we don't do as much now, since most things are scheduled or scripted for our kids. I can speak for my own, and I'm guilty of it too. I didn't need a fancy batting cage. I had a ball and a bat, and you hit it and you go pick it up and come back. Like, it is a different time, and it's not the kids' fault. It's our fault. But I did play everything up until then, and then up until into high school. I played golf, I think, for a couple of years in high school, and then I started just doing baseball only.
And you're still doing golf? I think every ex-baseballer is doing golf nowadays.
It might be one of the better parts of being in the big leagues. You get to play a lot of really nice courses.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Helpful
Nice.
that my manager likes to play golf as well. So we'll just leave it at that.
So your official job description with the Tigers is director of coaching, field coordinator, and catching coordinator.
I'm not anymore. I'm the major league catching coach. This past year I was the major league catching coach. Yeah. So previously I was the field coordinator, director of coaching, and doing the catching in the minor leagues.
So then, talking about your job that it's now not anymore. Yeah, good English, Max. What was your main focus in that job, and now being a full-time major league catching coach? Are you still going to the bullpen now and then to maybe work with catchers there, or just sitting in the dugout talking to guys where you see some stuff that they have to get better at in the game, like pitch calling or something like that?
So to the first part, what I did do when I came over to the Tigers, I was part of a kind of a staff rebuild. Along with there was a few of us that came over from LA, and Ryan Garko, who's now vice president, but he was the player director back then, brought me over, and we were just there to kind of push and raise the standards, not only for the coaches, but the players in the minor leagues. And I feel like what we've all been able to accomplish over the last few years has been really great, and incredible staff, an incredible group of players. Our players have gotten a lot better over the last few years too, partially or mostly, honestly, because of the draft. You're a really good coach when you get good players. That really helps. But I was fortunate enough to be the field coordinator, and that was a big jump for me. I was a catching coordinator over in LA, and when I came over to be the field coordinator, it forced me to kind of push my vision around the field and learn a little bit more, honestly, about outfielders. Like, as a catching coach, you stare behind the plate. It was hard for me to look out at the outfielders and see what they're doing and ignore the pitcher and the catcher a little bit. So it allowed me a greater scope and vision of what the field looked like. And I hadn't had that kind of vision since I was a player behind the plate. So I think I got better in a lot of aspects as a coach that way, because I was seeing the challenges that an outfielder had, understanding what a third baseman had to go through, and all of the specifics that their processes were. Now, as a catching coach, I've got to strip all that stuff away, and now it's back to just dealing with the catchers. And in the dugout, the discussions you have, pregame routines, if we have work to do, specific challenges that happen during the game. Pitch selection, or conversations that happen throughout the game, and that's what I focus on now. And it's been really cool, because you went from doing the minor league stuff where you're worrying about 200 players, or 180 players, and 60 something staff, to worrying about 2 players and their relationships with the most important asset, which is the pitchers and the pitching coach and the manager. So it's been great, because I've been able to refocus my energy towards just helping them navigate through certain things. Not very much, honestly, because I've been fortunate, here in Detroit, to have some really good guys to work with, and looking forward to what we're doing here in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. So, like you said, I think I have for me, I think it's a funny story. We talked to Hensley Mullins in the second episode of this podcast, and he played in Japan in the NPB, and he said that there were a lot of times where the pitcher was thrown a bad game, and in the next inning there was a new catcher. So they focused on not the pitcher having a bad day, but the catcher calling a bad game. With all those scouting reports and pitch sequencing, that's, I think, even that you can have a whole 10-day speech about when to throw which pitch in which position. So doing that and then being able to block a 105 miles fastball on the ground, that's much for catchers, right? Like that's.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the skills of what a catcher must go through, you can kind of start and stop with the pitch selection and following the game plan. I mean, that is the most important piece. It is more important than how you catch the ball. It is more important how you throw a runner out or try to block a ball. The information you get it's a lot. And you've got to learn how to decipher through there, and you've got to learn how to follow the game plan that's been given to you. And I would say that is like the biggest skill. And you're right. Like you could do this. We could talk for days on this, but also it is a very subjective thing. There's a lot of objective information that you get, but then the situation, the pitcher on the mound, the time of day, the feel you have with a pitcher and the hitter and the kind of the cat and mouse that goes along with that. Like there is a lot that goes into it that is very subjective too. And you can throw the wrong pitch and get a positive outcome, and you can throw the right pitch and get a negative outcome. So there's a lot that you have to work in there, and it is probably the most stressful part of the game for the catcher. And I feel for these guys when things go wrong and they were right, or, the pitcher doesn't throw it exactly where you want, or, you know what, you called the wrong pitch and he executed it great. And there's, one's right, one's wrong. Even though you got the out, it's still wrong. Even though you gave up a homer, it's still right. There's a lot that goes into it. And, I don't think there's an exact science to it. I think it has a lot to do with how the catcher is able to relate to the pitchers and the staff, and not only the coaching staff, but the pitching, all of the pitching staff, especially your starting pitchers, who you're going to see a little bit more often. And then, the manager is putting the relievers in because he believes in it. And I'll tell you what, I was around one of the best, if not the best I've ever seen, in AJ Hinch this last year.
So you have to just for me to remind it a little bit, you have to have like all the skills you talked about. Then you have to be able to control and manage a staff of maybe 13, 14 pitchers who all got their own mentality, their own ego. And then you have to, and that's just the focus on defense. And you have to be a good hitter, a good base runner. And so you have to be one of the best mentally ready players to be a major league catcher, right?
No doubt. It's all of it's yes on all of those things, and that, again, that's why we treat them differently. They have more perks. They also have way more work, and in the past, they used to tell them, you don't have to do all this. You just go be an outfielder. You just got to hit like twice as well as you do. Like, it's not that easy, man. Like, and again, it's not for everybody.
We come to question number 6 already. As we noticed already, you've been to Germany already. You've visited the DBV convention, and also, you've been working with some of our best catcher prospectives here in Germany. What are your thoughts, or what were your thoughts when you left Germany that time, on the level of our guys, on the development of baseball in Germany? And besides of that, did you have been keeping a track of anybody of them?
I was only there for like 2 days. I squeezed in a trip over to Frankfurt. I had a prior engagement, but I really wanted to come over, and we were in Mainz, I believe, and it was awesome, man. Like I had a group, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 guys, and was able to do some presentations and then get some work in that cage down the left field line there. It was cold. It was everything, but it was hard to really tell where everybody was skill wise. It was more about to introduce some drills to show, maybe some alternative ways for guys to do stuff. Honestly, I had not had much follow through on that or seen what the guys were able to do. But like I said, I was only over there for probably 55 hours in total. It was in and out. It was a long trip, but it was well worth it. I had a blast.
Okay, so more a show and go, and no time for.
No, I didn't get to see. We were at the the big headquarters for sport there, across from the football stadium, and then over there in Mainz, and kind of running all over the place, and it was a blast. But I didn't actually get to do very much there. Would love to come back.
Yeah, we come back to that later. So back to the DBV convention. You've been a speaker there, as you mentioned. Do you remember what was your topic you were speaking about?
I believe I did a receiving one. I did one. I'm pretty sure I did how to create a culture amongst the catchers. I think that was one of the ones that I did there. I believe I did 3 speeches. So those are the only 2 I remember. I'm not sure if I did it. Maybe a block throw combo. That probably seems about right. I think I hit on all of them.
Okay. So, we're not going any deeper on that.
Next question is gonna be also back to talking about you and your coaching mentality. You talked about that a lot and had some great quotes already. But what are some points you would say that defined you and your coaching mentality, except that what you already talked about is being open to new stuff? And is there anything in today's players that you would say you don't like?
I don't think there's anything I don't like. I think they're just different. Post-COVID, but in the middle of kind of the social media explosion, the players have a lot more ideas. Maybe sometimes they go down a path that they don't really understand. I would say maybe that happens sometimes. And they're, the COVID piece created some isolation from players where they didn't, especially if they're in high school. I feel like they lost a little bit of the communication ability to communicate with others and react and read the situations with others a little bit. I think you've seen that a little bit over the last few years out of the draft. But the players are bigger, faster, stronger than they've ever been as well. So like there's whatever you could say that you maybe don't love, you can certainly say, I love these kids that are educated a little bit more with their swing. There's a way more data available to them. Technology has been a huge piece that has improved. So whether it be the bat sensors or the TrackMan or all of the different ones that are available, I think the players are a more educated group. So they will know what their vert and their horizontal is on their fastball. They will understand from the hitting side as well, like what that means. And actually just had this conversation with my son's travel ball team on Thursday. I'm like, you need to get on a website, get on Baseball Savant and start seeing what this means, because people are going to talk to you like this as you get into high school or you get into college. And if you don't understand what all these numbers mean or the verbiage, you're going to be behind. And so I think, there's nothing that I don't like about the players, because I think the players are fantastic and they're probably better and more equipped than they've ever been, especially to handle the velocities that we're seeing from the pitching staff, both on the catching side and on the hitting side. When I was in high school, good fastball was maybe 90 miles an hour, 92 miles an hour. Now these kids are regularly seeing in rookie ball 98, 99, like multiple times a game. So I feel like these guys are in a position to where they can do a lot of good things. And again, it's up to us to adapt to it. It's not, I don't have to love all the drip. I don't have to love the makeup on the face and or the eye black on the face and the colorful batting gloves and stuff. Like, I don't have to like it, but that's what it is. And it's up to me to adapt, not to them. Like, this is what they're going to do, and they should.
Would you say that with all of this technology, it's maybe a little bit, like, for me personally, I think sometimes it's a little bit too much information when maybe for a pitcher, for example, going back to the dugout, having a good inning, and then looking, hey, my vert was like that, and my slider was not moving that way. But that can all help, but you still have to go out there and maybe just focus a little bit more on the basics, just like throwing strikes, even like not focusing on how much it moved or something, or how hard I throw, what spin rate do I have, but can I throw strikes, for example?
That is a challenge. 100% that's a challenge. And, the iPad in the dugout is a hard thing hard to see sometimes, because there's less conversation with player to player. There's less interface, and there's more just data. And, players, they're going to find what they want to see, unfortunately, sometimes. And then also that they do get hung up. I'm not just talking about Major League. I'm talking about anybody, that they're going to get hung up on something, and sometimes they might obsess about the wrong thing. So I think the education piece is just extremely important. And I know we both, in my previous organization and with the Tigers, like, education is a big piece, and the players, they need to be educated to help them decipher what is important and what isn't, and ultimately they're going to make that decision on their own, what they care about and what they don't. And it's our job just to help them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's kind of interesting. We talked to Jim Leyritz in our very first episode of The Swarm. And I was asking him if the development of the pitchers nowadays is getting way more professional than back in the days. What's the reason for the maximizing of the speed of the pitches? And he told us, or his view was that the tracking of the speed back in the days was over the home plate, and nowadays they are tracking it out of the hand. Is it true? And what's maybe some sort of view to that topic?
Yeah, it is. It's going to get it out of Hawkeye. Will get it right out of the hand. The tracking in the day, you could say it was at the plate. You could say it wasn't as precise as it is, and it wasn't as quickly out of the hand as it was. So whether it's at the plate where it would lose it, or whether it was at peak velocity, like, everyone's going to say that they didn't throw, or they always threw this hard, and I disagree. Like, every bullpen arm now throws 98 to 100 miles an hour, and that wasn't always the case. So the obsession with velocity is it's harder to hit velocity. So if you throw a slider at 88 or you throw it at 96, like, I take the 96. It's just going to be harder. It's just, the reaction has to be faster. It doesn't matter where this velocity is coming from. Like, the harder they throw, the better the outcome. The bigger the margin of error for the outcome on the pitching side. And, the faster that they throw, it's easier to get, I believe it's easier to get strikes on the catching side as well. So, less time for the umpire to see the ball. But with the ABS coming in, it'll be interesting to see how, I don't think it's going to change what we do very much. I think it's a good thing. It actually rewards bad catching, because you can miscatch a ball and get a strike out of it.
for everybody listening who doesn't know what the ABS is, it's the automatic balls and strikes system, right? So that's gonna take a little bit out of catching and framing, right? Because
I don't think so at all. I think you're still going to do your moves. You're still going to get after the ball the same way. And the umpires, I think what the ABS system has done is it's made umpires better. I think the umpires have gotten significantly better. If you look in A-ball where it's been and AAA where it's been, the umpires are better. I mean, it's good for the game. It's good for the game. I don't think we change one thing. There's nothing that we're going to change because it's a challenge system, and we're just going to keep presenting the ball to the umpire the best we can, and they'll say ball or strike.
Yeah. Max, would you like to do the last question, please?
So you said that you worked, and one of your big influences and mentors were Tom House, who is a household name in baseball. Also, you had legends working with you like Randy Johnson, right? That's what we found out. So what are some pickups from working with those guys, and what do you think is important for young catchers to get on one page with a pitcher and being a real battery for that?
From Tom, I mean, we got to work with a lot of really good players. Catching Randy during the off season a couple different times, it was interesting. It was definitely interesting for a 27-year-old me or whatever it was. Just being around those guys, you just see how special really good players are. And, we have Tarek Skubal on our team, and like Scoob is amazing. He's everything that you would ever want out of a baseball player. He's a great teammate. He's a great guy who works his butt off. He's an incredible example. Like, that's just kind of what we have. And I think when you see greatness, you can appreciate it. And, my first year here in the Major League dugout, like watching Ohtani or Bryce Harper or whoever it might be, it's like they are significantly different than everyone else. I mean, you just pick up everything, like their approach, their discipline. You can see it. You can feel it. You can see how ready they are to hit. You can see how a pitcher is attacking and playing off his misses to make the next pitch. And that's the separator. I believe that's a separator between like the really good players and the great players, is that they are able to do, I mean, it's incredible, the difference between the goods and the greats. They're just able to do different stuff consistently. And then what was the second part of the question?
The second part is, what would you say is important for young guys or for catchers in general to really pick up the pitcher and help them get to the next level? Any maybe ideas? I know those questions are pretty open.
Yeah, I think becoming a better listener is a massive piece, because the pitchers have an idea of what they'd like to do. You can certainly steer people. You're trying to keep them in the middle of the creek. You're trying not to let them get too far off one side or the other. Like, keep them moving down the river. And becoming a really good listener and again, the communicator, like, those things go a long way to gain the trust of especially the pitching staff. Pitchers they're interesting folks because they are out in the middle of that diamond by themselves, and it can be a pretty lonely spot too. So take away the skill side. I mean, you can get on one knee and rip stuff to the moon and get strikes and block balls and throw people out. But like, if the pitcher doesn't trust you, you kind of lose all credibility with them. So I would say that, we work on that in multi-languages, right? So you've got to learn. For us, we've got to learn. The American guys need to learn Spanish, and Latin American guys need to learn English. So you don't alienate a certain group of people, and you certainly are just wanting to communicate and get the best out of both of us, right? Like if I see something and I can't communicate it to the pitcher, I'm not only am I robbing him of something, but I'm robbing our team of something. And so, I think that's incredibly important. So again, it's a lot less of the skill and it's a lot more of the psychology or the relationship piece that is the most important thing.
So awesome. Then the Dodgers catchers now have to learn Japanese, right?
I don't know. I don't know what they got to do.
Well, they're picking up every Japanese guy there is. Me as a San Diego Padres fan, I have to say it hurts, but that's the game. I'm still sad, but like you said, you've seen some great major league players from the dugout. There's one of who was born in Germany and played in Germany a short time with the name of Max Kepler, who recently signed a 1-year contract with the Phillies. We ask that like everybody who's here on that podcast, because it's good for us to feel like what the American guys think of our Max Kepler.
We didn't get to see him very much. He was hurt, so when we played him, I think we only saw him in one series, or maybe even when he got hurt. So I didn't get to see him much live. So honestly, I don't have an opinion. I mean, he's a good player. Obviously, he's been around, and being with the Phillies now, like that's a great place to hit, and it's an incredible group of guys. Like he's going to be an asset for them. Where in Minnesota, I mean, he was that until he's kind of just had the injury bug kind of got him this past season. So I didn't get to see him much, but I mean, obviously a very good player.
Nice, thank you. So are you gonna do the rapid fire round now, or should I?
We can split it up. That's no problem. I can do the first one. You do the second one. Ryan, one question to the side to the time in Detroit. Like Detroit is a very dangerous city. Everybody says, is it really very dangerous, or did you feel safe there?
I would invite everyone to come to downtown Detroit. It's awesome. And you walk around. It's been incredibly revamped by not only the Illich family that owns our team, but another couple of groups that have really done a great job, and great food, a lot of cool people. Obviously the area around Comerica and Ford Field and Little Caesars Arena is pretty awesome. So we've got a lot of cool things going on in Detroit. It's fun. Great fan base, man. They were incredibly supportive during our little run there.
So you're still living there, right?
I live in Phoenix.
You live in Phoenix?
Yeah, so I'm only up there for the season.
So talking about Detroit, was there any time, I have to ask that, did you talk to Eminem in that time? With him being... damn it.
Yeah. we had a lot of people come through, but he was not one of them. So I would have made sure I got a photo with that guy. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, never say never. So we're going to start the rapid fire round. Are you ready?
Sure.
Yeah, Bruno.
First one, a good old bratwurst or a hot dog?
Bratwurst, 100% of the time. Mustard only.
That's a good choice. Second question, European or soccer or football that's actually not played with your feet?
American football. Sorry.
Do you prefer the old school catching style or the new school catching style?
I would go new school. I think it's great.
Okay.
Fourth question, favorite moment in the MLB?
I would say winning our first round against the Astros this year. That was awesome. When we got in the playoffs, it was pretty awesome too. But winning the first round was really neat to beat them in Houston. It was a fun party.
The last one, catching a 100 miles an hour heater or catching a nasty knuckleball?
Well, we're going to get both this year. We signed a knuckleballer, so I would just probably prefer the regular heater. But we did just sign a player that throws like a 90-mile-an-hour knuckleball. So I can't wait. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, that question actually comes from me because I start throwing a knuckleball this year here in Germany. I'm not even close on 90 miles per hour, but I'm working in the low 60s.
Yeah, I saw a video of it, and I don't know how we're going to prepare for it, but we're gonna do our best.
You need a magnet in the glove.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the saying? I don't know who said that, but the best way of catching a knuckleball is picking it up from the ground.
Yeah, once it stops going and picking it up, right?
That's awesome. So with that, we will conclude this interview and say thank you very, very much for being a part and helping us spread the love for the game here in Europe and especially in Germany and in Solingen. Thank you very, very much. It was a good time having you here. You're a guy with great personality and a good outlook on coaching and everything. And good luck with the Detroit Tigers this year.
Great. Thank you, guys. I can't wait to meet you in person. That'd be fun one day.